All right, devil horn salute. I've been doing these army videos. I'd write a book, but why? So I've just been posting some shit on YouTube. There's no decapitated heads, no crispy critters. I didn't bomb a village. I didn't mutilate babies or women or anything like that. Didn't set up a Claymore mine ambush. It was peacetime army, 83, 85. I just did this video about Jody, the guy that steals your girlfriend, and what it was like to have a girlfriend and lose that relationship. And I forgot to mention, it was kind of this transition period once you get out of the army. Now, I couldn't keep my last one lit. Let's see if I can keep this one lit. So, I think in my graduating class, 1983, I was the only one going in the military. And I wasn't just going in the military, I was going fucking airborne. I mean, yeah, I went full extreme mode. I think, yeah, I was the only person out of my graduate. That's got to be shitty on the recruiters that you're getting one person out of a graduating class to enlist. Well, that's better than none, I guess. This is 10 years after the draft is done. That stopped in 73, and I'm graduating 10 years later in 83. So, after I get out, I'd lost my girlfriend, and I'm starting to readjust to civilian life. And one thing I've noticed right off the bat, you don't get much respect. You think, as a paratrooper, I should get some respect and people should fear me. And actually, it's quite the opposite. You get no respect, no fear, and you're just an ordinary somebody again. Yeah, you're a low-life civilian all over again. It's crazy. What you put into the military does not transfer well into civilian society, okay? If you learn some kind of job skill, good luck, that's great, but if you're in the infantry or tanks or artillery, it's what your transition back to civilian life, it doesn't carry very well, and it doesn't have, they don't show you no respect out there. Now, that summer, I got home in January. So in that springtime, me and my sister driving around, I found a motorcycle sitting on the side of the road. It was a Honda 750, and it was cursed, but I didn't know it at the time. And it was a decent price, so I bought that. The car I brought up, the air shocks had shot through the metal in the back, and it needed some kind of welding job because the shock tires were gone. They were just rusted through. So I sold the car to my neighbor, bought this bike, and started riding this bike all over for a summer. Now, what sucked about this bike is every time I would clean this thing, I would have a flat tire in the back. 3 flat tires on this motherfucker. It never could get fixed right. I eventually, at the end of the summer, got rid of this motherfucker. But for the summer, there was a few good times on this bike. I think that summer we were dropping a lot of acid and a lot of window pane and shit. And the Grateful Dead was down at Starlight Theater, and what's funny is we were doing so much acid before the concert, but the day of the concert we couldn't find any acid. We didn't have any. So we got down there, but this guy behind me was selling acid, but he had this little bitty demon necklace, and I didn't trust it, and I didn't buy it. When I was a teenager, I went to Rush. Somebody was selling some Orange Barrel, and I was the only person out of our group that bought it. I took the chance, man, I got fucking hammered. Oh man, I was high as fuck. Everybody was jealous, but I took the risk on it, and man, I did good. Same thing with Alice Cooper. Me and my friend Joe was at Alice Cooper, and we dropped some fucking Purple Barrel there, and man, it was one of the best shows I had ever seen. So that summer, smoking weed, drinking, partying. I'm doing the same fucking shit I did before I left the army, the same party shit I did in the army, and now it's just continuing after army. It's like we never learned. I think one night I can remember I'm riding down 50 highway, peaking on acid. I just starting my peak, and I'm on a motorcycle going down 50 highway in the middle of Raytown. So then, right before I get this nighttime job at a Hardee's, I'm going down to this little city park down in Knobtown, and the people I went to school with, they're all hanging down there, and the class afterwards. A cute little girl down there, and I think her name was Rhonda, and I'm trying to get me some pussy, and everybody said, don't be fucking that shit, dude, your dick's gonna fall off. So I never did. And I noticed that some of those people I went to school with that didn't enlist, now they're all down there at the fucking park, they're all getting high. drinking whatever, and not really working and still living at home. Ain't much changed. And after I started working nights, I never went back to this park, so I never saw many of these people ever again, but nothing changed. The only thing that changed was the party place, the park. Now, yeah, I went out of the Army to making $3.50 an hour at a car wash, hit and miss jobs through the goddamn wintertime, like in restaurants and fast food. Then I'd hit construction on the fucking asphalt truck in the summer, and that was just the way the game was. And sometimes we weren't working, but I had some money in my pocket, so it was cool. About that time, too, methamphetamine started creeping in. There was still a lot of acid, but then they started introducing that methamphetamine. And that summer, oh, Jesus Christ, I think my friend Joe did it 18 straight days. I think I did it 14 straight days. We were seeing how many days straight we could do this shit. And slowly getting addicted to this stuff. No, it was a weird transition. It really was, because I'm transitioning from going out of the Army, being back to civilian. I'm doing the same things again, but it's a little different now. I think I spent a lot of time out in the woods, and before I went in, and I went out to these woods I'd always hiked in. I went out one afternoon in the fall, and oh, it was neat, all that Army experience. I'm out in the woods. I mean, I'm walking in the creeks. I'm getting wet and all that. I ain't being fazed by it. I'm climbing up big old muddy hills, and I get back home. I'm covered head to toe in mud and stick tights and shit. My mom's looking at me and says, well, yeah, this makes me appreciate the bed and the roof over my head a little bit more after being out and that and all that. And that was the last time I ever went out in the woods like that. It was many, many years later, I got back out in the woods deer hunting, or I might take a hike, but that was the last time I really trolled the fucking woods. So, your life's going to change. Yeah, you're thinking, you get back, everything's going to be the same, and no, things have a tendency to change. Even a person that goes to jail for any length of time, when they come back home, that hood's a little different. Might be the same hood, but there's different players and different rules to the game all of a sudden. And the same thing happens in life. And I think, when you're young and dumb on dope and trying to figure out life, nobody tells you, that when you leave and come back, it's not the same. It's not the same. It'll never be the same. It's like I can sit here and think about things in the 1980s and want to go back to my hometown, and I want to see people, but I realize that one, they probably no longer alive or even there. My hometown has changed. And what used to matter to me really has no meaning now. It's just memories. And some of them, I got to say, ain't that good. So yeah, I had a motorcycle, and in the summer, I got rid of the motorcycle. So my neighbor got my car fixed. So I traded the motorcycle and a little bit of cash, got my fucking Cougar back, and drove it till it blew up. And managed to get a couple girlfriends, got laid quite a bit by a girl by Norma Jean, and I watched the Royals win. I got in so much trouble from 18, my 19th birthday sucked, 20, I was in trouble, but no, when I turned 21 in October, the Royals won the World Series. God, that was so fucking awesome. And then, I finished out the rest of the year, that first year back home, it was more of the same. More of the same. I just picked up right where I left off, and I still had no direction, no goals. All of a sudden, I'm not wanting to be this big biker person. I'm riding a junk motorcycle, but it's, my vision of traveling around didn't happen. It was like, get a junk bike, go back and forth to work, put some gas in this thing, and do your thing. Life was hard. I'm starting out in my young 20s, and it is what it is. So hit that like and subscribe. You got to realize that, how much time you put in. How much time you're going to put into something that when you get out, it don't mean jack shit. All that time and bullshit you put in the Army, once you get out, it don't mean jack shit. And it don't mean jack shit to any of these civilians out here. And even people that served at one time, well, there's only so much, give, they will give you. So, horn salute out here. If I can come up with any more stories, I will. Who knows why I think I'm running out of stories and ideas. So, hit the like and subscribe. Thanks.